Question 10. The soil that is good for modeling has underline the following words. Soil good for modeling. Then from here, from the words given in the question, I ask myself, which soil is used for modeling? This will make me realize that the soil which is good for modeling is clay soil. And now once I know that this soil is clay, the next thing I will do will be to look at the characteristics of clay soil. That's what is required in the choice or in the choices. So, if we look at A, clay has high water drainage. No, the soil with high water drainage is sand. So, choice A is not correct. Choice B, rough texture, also refers to sand, and that's not correct. Choice C, high capillarity, that's correct. Clay soil has very high capillarity and high water retention. Choice D, large air spaces, this again is sand soil, which is not correct. I move on to question number 11. The following are processes that take place during birth in humans. So this question is testing the stages of the birth process. Stages of the birth process in human beings. I want to very quickly give you a mnemonic which you will use, a mnemonic or an acronym. I think this is what most of us are used to. So we have ELPA, WIBA, BQA. What does ELPA, WIBA, BQA mean? It means E stands for engagement. So during the birth process, the head of the baby turns in such a way that it faces down. The head is actually above the cervix. So that position of the head during birth is what we call as engagement. Then LPA stands for labor pain. What causes the labor pain? Labor pain is caused by contraction of the uterus. Only contraction. There's no expansion in as far as the labor pain is concerned. Now, after the labor pain, we move on to WI, which stands for widening of the cervix. So now the cervix widens. Because of the pressure being generated by the uterine wall, it causes the cervix to widen. That widening is what we call as dilation. So dilation and the widening of the cervix is one and the same thing. After the cervix has dilated, the next thing is the bursting of the amnion, what one may also call as breaking of the waters. Now, when the amnion bursts, the amniotic fluid is released. This prepares now the way for the coming of the baby. So the baby comes out without problems due to the amniotic fluid acting as a lubricant in this case. After the bursting of the amnion, BI stands for birth. So the baby comes out, and that coming out of the baby is also called parturition. Let me write the word parturition here. Parturition. Yes, P-A-R-T-U-R-I-T-I-O-N. Parturition. So parturition means birth. So BI stands for parturition or birth. Now after the baby has come out, the next thing that should be done is to cut the umbilical cord. So CU stands for cutting of umbilical cord. Now before the umbilical cord is cut, it has to be tied. The purpose of tying the umbilical cord is actually to minimize excessive loss of blood from both the mother and the baby. Why are we cutting the umbilical cord? Now, the umbilical cord is cut in order to make the newborn baby independent. And finally, A stands for afterbirth. Afterbirth. Now, looking at what I have given in my acronym or mnemonic, I very quickly eliminate. I expect now engagement to come first, looking at Roman 1, dilation, Roman 2, contraction, Roman 3, bursting, Roman 4, pushing out of the baby, Roman 5, cutting of umbilical cord. So there's nowhere I have engagement. So that one is therefore something to make me worried. I move on to the labor pain. Dilation of the cervix, that's not about the labor pain. I move on to Roman 2, contraction of the uterus. And now contraction of the uterus is what causes the labor pain. So this is my labor pain, LPA. So my LPA here comes first, meaning Roman 2 comes first. Looking at the choices, I have A and a B, not beginning with Roman 2, meaning that choice A and B are incorrect. I've already eliminated. I move on to C and D. I continue. Now, after we have contraction of the uterus, the next thing is going to be dilation of the cervix. And that dilation is captured here, WI, dilation, or widening of the cervix. So Roman 1 must come first, must then follow. So after Roman 2 is Roman 1. So I look at C and D. And from here I can see that the answer is C. Because in D, Roman 4, pushing out of the baby cannot become Roman 4. Again, I've got to interpret here what pushing out of the baby means. This is actually about birth. The baby is now being born. So it is very much far away from what we need. From there, we move on to